Splatoon is the biggest surprise for me in a long time. When I first saw the trailer from E3 last year, I thought it was merely some lame Nickelodeon knockoff. Curious, and starved for something new on the Wii U, I picked up Splatoon. After just a couple of multiplayer matches, I fell in love with the game. Splatoon is an online competitive shooter, but in a very different style from, say, Call of Duty or Halo. The focus is less on shooting your opponents and more on covering the environment in your team's color of paint. In the regular multiplayer mode, 2 teams of 4 will have 3 minutes to cover as much of the map as possible with their paint. The team members and team colors are always random, so you'll rarely have the exact same matchup in each match. Seeing what color my team is at the beginning of the match is probably my favorite thing, mainly because I made up my own personal nicknames for each color. Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon Slime, Nickelodeon Gak, Purple Drink, Crest, Bubble Tape, the Duke Blue Devils, and Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. You can kill enemy players, but it doesn't determine the outcome of the match. The only benefit of killing an enemy is to keep them from covering the map with their team's paint. XP and money is all based on how much of the map you covered with your paint. At the end of the match, you get to see an overhead view of the map, which is also seen on the gamepad screen during normal play. That shows you how much of the territory each team claimed. It's always fun to see if your team just barely squeezes by with the win. The characters that you play as are called Inklings. In your default form, you're a humanoid that can run around and shoot. In neutral areas and areas covered in your team's paint, you can move around safely, but you take damage if you're in the other team's paint. Pressing the left trigger will change you to your squid form for quickly swimming through your team's paint. This form is also how you refill your ink ammunition. Gyro controls are used for aiming by default, but you can turn them off if you prefer the more traditional dual stick control. I'll admit that I'm a filthy casual because I actually preferred the gyro controls. These controls seem better for my playstyle. There are a variety of weapons to choose from, ranging from machine guns, snipers, to paintbrushes and paint rollers. The paint roller being my personal favorite, as it allowed me to quickly cover large areas of the map with paint. Plus, it allowed me to bulldoze enemies in one hit. The downside is it has almost no range, so it's easy to get shot down if an enemy sees you. Each weapon also has a loadout of sub-weapons and special abilities. The sub-weapons include grenades, seeker bombs, paint sprinklers, and satellites for quick respawns. The special weapon becomes available when a meter fills up in the top right of the screen. This gives you a one-time use ability or weapon that can be used to give your team an advantage. The Tornado is Splatoon's version of an airstrike, where a large section of the map is engulfed in paint and kills any opposing team member caught in it. Kraken, which is a giant invincible squid that leaves a trail of paint in its tracks, and it can drill attack enemies. As you acquire XP and level up, you can use the money you earn from battles to buy new weapons and equipment. Each piece of equipment has a unique set of perks that can help you, such as faster movement, more ammo, higher defense, and so on. In addition to the regular turf matches, there are also ranked matches that were added after the game's release. This mode plays a bit differently from the other, in the sense that your goal is to cover and maintain control of a specific area of the map. As your team controls the control point, a countdown timer will go down. The first team to get their timer down to 0, or whichever team held possession of the zone the longest when time runs out, wins. This mode is clearly more focused and more intense than the other mode. Upon winning or losing a ranked match, you'll earn or lose points which will affect your rank, as indicated by a letter. I liked this gameplay variant, but quickly gave up on trying to boost my rank after losing several matches in a row. I would have liked it if the capture point mode was included in unranked matches, as it'd remove all the stress. Voice chat would be helpful in coordinating strategies in the ranked mode, but unfortunately, there isn't any in this game. On the other hand, I'm kinda glad, because some of the stuff I shout when playing multiplayer probably isn't that appropriate, and I imagine I would hate being on the receiving end of similar comments. That aside, I really enjoy yelling, "Get splat boy," or "Get splat girl," or "Take the line boys," to myself when streaming on Twitch. Get splat boy, get splat boy, get splat girl, take the line boys, take the line, get splat boy. There's also a 2-player local multiplayer mode that's pretty fun too. In this mode, you're trying to pop more balloons than your opponent. Scattered around the stage are tuna cans that contain Mario Kart-like power-ups and weapons. The mode is super fun when you and a friend are both rocking paint rollers and are relentlessly trying to run each other over. Here are a couple of complaints I have with the game. One is the spotty and dropped connections from Nintendo servers. I can usually tell if I'm about to get dropped when I'm spraying an area and the paint doesn't stick to the walls or floor. And then a few seconds later, a lovely error message appears. The online service is free, so I guess you get what you pay for. The other complaint are the frequent and tedious announcements from the England pop singers Callie and Marie, who are called Aori and Hotaru in the Japanese version. These two will announce when the maps have rotated in and out and inform you of special events. My beef with them is they always show up whenever we boot up the game, and their commentary is cheesy and lame. Not to mention that the game's bubble font strains my eyes when I try to read the Japanese. These announcements also come every 2 hours, as per the map rotation, and you're booted out to the hub world whenever these announcements occur. It's really annoying. Unfortunately, there's no way to disable or speed up these announcements. While the focus of the game is multiplayer, there is also a single-player campaign that is actually pretty interesting. The campaign involves you fighting the opposing octopus faction through various levels. The levels are kind of similar to Super Mario Galaxy, in the sense that you explore small landmasses, solve a puzzle, or defeat enemies, and then get launched to another landmass. The enemies that you encounter are entirely unique to the single-player mode, but you'll sometimes face off against NPC versions of Inklings. The boss battles are also pretty interesting, though they follow the Nintendo rule of 3, and they aren't terribly difficult. Splatoon has a really nice aesthetic. The paint effects and colors look great. I especially like the blue paint. It's incredibly shiny and beautiful. The splatter effects of paint definitely remind me of 90s era Nickelodeon promos. Being kid-friendly, Nintendo clearly uses paint to cover up the screen as you take damage, to resemble blood like in other shooters. As is the case with other Wii U games, the Miiverse aspect is pretty incredible. There are tons of creative works of art that you can see in the hub area from the different players you encounter online. The art also appears as graffiti on the walls. Going along with the Nickelodeon theme, the music kinda has that late 90s, early 2000s edgy rock skateboard music vibe. The sound effects are pretty good, and I'm sure some of the item pickup sounds are taken directly out of Super Mario Sunshine. Apparently, Splatoon split off of some leftover ideas Shigeru Miyamoto had from Super Mario Sunshine, and I can definitely see the inspiration. It's pretty interesting since it's been over 10 years since that game's release. Splatoon is very addicting and very enjoyable. It's great seeing a brand new IP come from Nintendo after seeing them release Mario game after Mario game. While I had some personal nitpicks about the game, it's definitely worth checking out. Don't let the kiddie Nickelodeon appearance fool you. This game is loaded with hours of fun. Splatoon for the Wii U gets 4 out of 5 stars.